Hello and welcome to In the Spotlight with Quocirca, the definitive podcast on digital disruption in the print industry. I'm Louella Fernandes, CEO of Quocirca, and today I'm joined by Fernando Maronienne from Brother USA. We'll be discussing how Brother is developing its MPS proposition for dealers in the US market. So welcome to the show, Fernando.
I'm happy to be here. So it's been a long time. We since talked, I think 3 years ago, but I'm really happy to be sharing my next step in the career with Brother the last 3 years.
So it's great to have you on the podcast because, like you say, I know a bit about your career history from Ricoh moving to Brother USA. So could you tell us a bit about that and your role at Brother today?
Oh, it's been a great 3 years right now with Brother. Actually, I'm responsible for the B2B division of the Brother Printer division, and which we call Brother for Business. And the reason why it's because Brother has a very good reputation on the consumer side. A lot of people say, "Hey, I have a Brother printer at home," and we say, "Well, and you like it?" Yes, that's great, but my division is actually Brother for Business. And the reason why is because we not only have a different product, right, enterprise level products, but also a full structure to support the business, which includes a lot of people, good teams, and also some programs in place that directly creates Brother for Business. So that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. And so far, the journey's been great, being awesome.
Yeah, and I think you moved to Brother at a really interesting time in terms of what was happening in the industry. And it'd be really interesting to hear from you in terms of what are some of the key market trends you've seen, which are impacting Brother today, its customers, and also the MPS market.
Yes, it's a very interesting movement because obviously before I was in basically a copier A3 company, right? And now I'm in a A4 print company. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the relationship between the two companies because actually Brother today is partnering with Ricoh, which is very interesting. So coming from an A3 manufacturer, obviously you see there is a market trend that says that A3 machines are going down, and obviously because after COVID, a lot of companies they changed their office, they reduced their office because of the hybrid work. So basically people are still going to the office, that's great, but not with the same impact it was in the past. So obviously A3 business is being more, let's say, affected by that hybrid trend. In the other hand, A4 is going up. So right now, being at Brother, it's a great moment to be there. And both of them actually have one goal, which is to provide great managed printing service to the customers. So that's where I am right now. And one of the main, obviously, one of the main goals I have in the strategy the company has is actually MPS. And when we say MPS, obviously there are different flavors, but our choice, at least here in the US, is to go with the copier dealers. That's the ones we're focusing on, basically because it's where we see the growth for this market in the US. They're still, they think about printing 100% of the time, so it's great. There is a lot of consolidations, that's true. And we have mega dealers, a different environment, but I would say it's still our main focus here in the US. We are very much focused on that channel, and because of that, MPS is the right way to go. And to go there, you need to have products, you need to have people to support, and you need to have programs in place to wrap everything up. So that's basically where we are today.
I know we're going to come back and talk a bit about the shift from A3 to A4, because I think that's very important for us to cover. And also it's slightly different in the US to Europe, but we can discuss some of the shifts we're seeing as well in terms of our research. So you mentioned there the US market, and the dealer channel is quite different again to what we see in Europe. Could you talk a bit about the difference between Brother USA's approach for MPS and perhaps what we're seeing in Europe? Because I know you also have a different channel, but also different types of customers as well.
Right. So some differences, I would say, let's not start with the deal. Let's start with other channels. For example, VARs, right? Value-added resellers. In Europe, I learned they are very large organizations. Here in the US, they are smaller. Yes, you have some large, but I mean, most of them are small organizations. We also have what we call IT service providers. And this is an important market here in the US. We have a lot of customers today that buys from those, especially enterprise customers, and they are a very important channel for us. But dealer channels is being focusing on printing for a long time, and not only printing, the managing printers for a long time, what we call managed printing service. So our job is to be able to understand that market, understand what they need, and then create programs for them. Different than Europe, I mean, they're targeting more officer resellers and VARs, and typically they focus on smaller MPS, if you will. And here in the US, we're really focusing on the larger deals. So that's basically, I would say, the difference between the US and Europe today. And the programs we have are very different. In Europe, we have MPS, Brother MPS, which is a program really designed and operated by Brother. Here in the US, we don't need to operate MPS. That's what the dealers know how to do. We just need to help them to make that happen. So we created a program. Actually, we just launched a new version of what VPP is. VPP is Value Print Program, and we just created Value Print Program Plus. It's basically the same program you used to have in the past 5 years or so, but the main difference is that this one has the cloud component on that. So basically, let me just summarize what VPP is first, and then go to VPP Plus. So Value Print Program is a program created for the dealer community, and has the first component. Actually, it's a discounted consumables. So we understand that cost per page and TCO is very important for this channel. So we ask them, what is the cost per page you need? And then we try to match that. So basically, we provide consumables, basically toner, to them in a way that they can achieve the right CPP they need. So that was the first thing to do. And to do that, we actually changed some products. So we created actually products that are just for the dealer community, that they are what we call protected. Only them can sell. And we also have the exclusive ones, which are not only commercial channels can sell, but only the dealers, which are with extra, especially with extra toner. So we can reduce even furthermore the cost per page. So we created those products, and that's one of the pillars of VPP. The second pillar is because they run those machines in a contract, typically 3 to 5 years. We extended the warranty to what we call the swap warranty, that we basically change the product overnight, so they don't need to care about the product. Obviously, here's a big difference between A3 and A4. You can do that on A4 machine. You cannot do that on an A3 machine. But that's what we do. We learned that from retail. So that's like bringing the retail expertise to the B2B world. And I think that really our customers and our channel partners love. Obviously, they still offer the service. They are still have the white glove. They are in front of the customers, but they use Brother in the back end to replace those machines and to fix those machines. So that's the second thing, which is the 3 years warranty that we have with the swap. And the third one, I would say, is basically a call center for the enterprise customers. So when you sell to enterprise customers, and that's our goal, and you have thousands of printers there, typically in thousands of locations, we can talk about that as well, which is called multi-site business. They need those end users to call someone and say, hey, I have a problem here. What should I do? So Brother offers this call center, this support actually to enterprise customers. So those are the three pillars of what we call Value Print Program. And now what we're doing, we're adding one layer more, which is the cloud. So what we heard from end customers, and by the way, we have a great relationship with our dealers, with our channel partners, but we also have good relationship with our end customers, because we have a major account teams that is talking to them. And one important thing, we don't sell direct, right? I mean, those major accounts are there to support actually the dealer, to help them to connect to those end customers. So one of the feedback they said is that they don't want companies to install, typically the dealers, right? Data collect agents on their premises, on their structure. So basically, what it does is we partner with a company called Tree Manager from Denmark, which is very successful there. And we have this cloud solution today that you don't need to have anything installed, any agent installed on the network, on the premises. So that's basically the plus that we added. And with that comes something else, comes the capacity to monitor brother machines remotely, to even manage those machines, to push notifications, to do some kind of work before even the technician is there. So that's an important portion of what we can do basically with that fourth layer, if you will, from the program that we have today.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So in terms of the VPP Plus, so this is this cloud layer that you've added. I know it's, fairly new. Are you seeing that your dealers are receptive to using that platform? Because you mentioned that some customers don't want the dealers to install those DCAs on their sort of PCs or on their on-premise environments. Is that something you're seeing also because more customers are moving to the cloud, or just generally response from the dealers as well as the customers?
Yes, they're moving to the cloud. It's actually a security reason why they want that. I mean, that's an end customer requesting that. And actually we realize that it makes our life and our channel partners' life much easier. And I'm going to talk to you about that. And one thing, just to give an example, one important thing on VPP Plus is that you can connect the machine just with a touch of a button. Actually, there are 2 or 3 steps that the end user can do. So we're going to talk a little bit about multi-site business, but imagine you have 1,000 locations, and every location you don't have an IT department because they're remote. Then how you connect those machines? So typically, someone from that company needs, the manager needs to go there, unbox the machine, connect to the web, and connect to the cloud. In this case, to the VPP Plus. That process needs to be very simple. So we partner with Tree Manager, and actually we have what we call BSI, Broad Solution Integration, that help a Tree Manager to integrate to broader machines. So basically, they are connected, on the cloud. So that was a great job. And one important thing about the partnership with Tree Manager is, one thing we realized, because this is for dealers, they have a mixed fleet environment, right? They typically don't like OEMs kind of pushing them what system they should have. And then we say, well, this is an agnostic system. This system is a market systems agnostic, it's not Brother system. Yes, it worked very well with Brother. We have very close partnership with them. We're developing actually new enhancements. But the point is, if you have a mixed fleet, you're not tied to an OEM. And I know that today you have one A4 vendor, tomorrow can be someone else, so you don't want to be tied. And that's fine. And then they can manage that with Tree Manager, not only their A4 broader fleet, but any fleet they have, A4 or A3, because that's an agnostic platform. And that's great because they like that flexibility.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, I guess a lot of your dealers are already supporting those multi-vendor mixed fleet environments. So typically, they will want to be able to manage those devices with a single platform. So it sounds like Tree Manager is the perfect tool to be able to do that without having lots of proprietary tools per vendor. I guess your channel partners are very receptive to that.
So let me talk a little bit about the channel, because that channel is very particular, right? So the big thing about Brother, I think, is number one, we don't go direct, right? We don't have direct sales force that go on B2B direct. We have consumer, we have retailers, all of that. But on B2B, we don't go direct. So we cannot, there is no chance we're going to steal their customers. They know that. They're very protective about that. We know that they have a strong A3 brand. They need that. They're coming from there. We're not saying we want to replace their A3 machines, right? We're saying we want to complement that. And it's funny because we started with, let's say, informal partnerships, that was start to grow. So we had with Xerox, we have today in the US a very important partnership with Toshiba, and now we just announced the partnership with Ricoh. The only reason Ricoh went a little bit further away is because that partnership is global, and now you can actually manage a broader machine through the Ricoh streamline software. So basically, the user experience, the user interface is exactly the same. So we're creating more and more ways for the end user and for the dealer channel to make their life easier, basically. So we don't compete with A3. We understand it's a big portion of your business, but we understand that business, the trend is changing, right? And typically dealers, they need to have a strong A3 and they need to complement with a strong A4. It's interesting that together with Ricoh today, we have the largest A4 let's say fleet in the market, because we have 42 models in the combination between Ricoh A4 and Brother A4. And even Ricoh and Ricoh dealers, they're not they're still selling Ricoh machines, but there are some there's some models and some needs that the machines cannot cover, and here is Brother fits and fill that gap. So I think there is opportunity for everyone in the market, and being agnostic, I mean, focusing on dealers, understanding where they come from, partnering with A3 brands is making Brother actually stronger, right? We're a very neutral brand. Typically, dealers love that, and it's very trustworthy. One thing that I realized as I arrived at Brother is this business growing because the trust we created with that particular channel. That's critical for us to move forward, and we know that. That's all. That's why all the new directions or new development we do, we have that in mind. We got now the dealer's trust. We need to keep that, right? So we need to take the right decision. So we don't go direct. We have protected models just for them. And one another thing that I didn't mention, actually I mentioned at the beginning, which is Brother for Business, right? I mentioned about the product. The second thing is actually the second pillar is people. So people is very important for this relationship with this channel in particular. The major accounts, which are subject matter experts that I mentioned on different verticals, we know how to do that, and we can help them. And the other thing is about assessments. We have a team of MPS experts that can help them to do assessments. We have the field solution engineering team that actually can help them as a pre-sales team to understand what they need and solve their technical issues. So basically, those teams were created to support Brother for Business. That's new. That's not that new. I mean, it's at least for 3 years exist. But I mean, it's something that we are actually we continue to invest on those teams. And the third pillar I mentioned, so product, people, and the other one are the programs like VPP Plus. So that's basically the Brother for Business strategy. And honestly, we've been very successful, not only with the dealer channel, which is our priority definitely, but also with ITSPs and business contract and other commercial channels here in the US.
A couple of points I wanted to pick up on, because Brother, as you say, it's got a very strong brand in the consumer space, and I think that really plays well into how influential it can be in the B2B space. And we certainly see from our brand perception that Brother always performs really strongly, across the US and Europe in terms of IT decision makers viewing Brother as a trusted brand. So that definitely aligns with what we're seeing in the market. And I think the point I wanted to pick up on was the multi-vendor environment and the fact that Brother is seen as a safe pair of hands, I guess, and being very neutral, so that you can complement the A3 OEM vendors as well. And obviously the Ricoh partnership is one way that Brother is achieving that. So I think Brother always fits very well into a broader portfolio printer fleet of devices, which is mixed A4 and A3. So going back to, Brother's, strength and maturity in certain markets. I know it's always been very strong in the retail sector. So can you tell us a bit about the multi-site approach that you're taking with some of your offerings and, some of its maturity in that space?
No, thank you for reminding about that. That's a great part. And that's a shift now, because we were now talking about channel partners, and now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the end customer. So, as a new guy here at Brother, I start asking questions. Why Brother, right? I mean, what make us stand us apart? And, typically the questions were, the product's very reliable. It's, it's about the trust that we have with our customers and with the channel. So yes, but I mean, is there something else? And then I realized, well, there is a pattern here. So we're very good on retail, right? I mean, we have a lot of retail customers. And also we have what we call QSRs, quick service restaurants, right? I mean, typically the fast food, as known as well. We're very good on that. We have a lot of very important chains here in the US. But it's not only retail. It's not only stores. I mean, we have more than that. Our restaurants, we have, for example, in the healthcare segment, we have small clinics. We have veterinarians. We have dentists. Now, dentists, they are aligned in what they call dentist service organizations, DSOs. So all of those, they actually have a very similar pattern. They have what we call multi-site business, right? Because the question I asked my team as I joined was, and especially the enterprise sales team, I asked, we have enterprise customers? Yes, we do have. I can see big logos there. Oh, so we are in their headquarters. In some of them, yes, right? But we are more in their branches. Tell me more, what exactly that is. So imagine like a quick service restaurant, right? Or let me pick another one, convenience stores, right? Convenience stores, they have 3,000 stores here in the US, right? So it's different selling 3,000 machines to one place, which is the headquarter, or a couple of places, to sell 3,000 machines to 3,000 locations. That's totally different, right? And that's what we're really good at. So obviously the product, it's very reliable, doesn't break. It's out there, it's in the field, right? So that's the first thing. Yes, sure. But then we realize there is much more on that. And it happens that the VPP Plus program we just talked about is very good for that because number one, so imagine you are a manager of a restaurant, quick service restaurant, right? Or maybe even a retail store. You don't have IT there, right? I mean, you are sometimes even isolated. I mean, a very remote area location, because US is very big. And then, you need to unbox the machine. You need to connect the machine. And then we were very, concerned about how that machine will be connected to VPP Plus. So we developed a one-touch button. Actually, the right name is the connect to server button, right? So you connect to the cloud and then it connects to Tree Manager. And so we can actually monitor and manage that machine. Why that's important? Because once you monitor, you can know if that machine goes out of toner. So once you know that, depending on the customer and what agreement they have with the channel partner, we can even go further and have auto fulfillment. So even before that machine needs a toner, the toner will arrive there, right? I mean, so that's one thing we can do because of Tree Manager connection as well. And then if that machine has a problem, they can call that call center I mentioned, right? If they realize they can do, and typically they can, because of Tree Manager as well, the connection, we can actually monitor that machine and even make some changes in the machine, so manage that machine. And if they realize, that machine needs to be changed, then the call center is going to say, no problem, we're going to replace that machine for you. And that's what really resonates with this kind of customers, right? I mean, all the support that they have in those remote locations is very unique from Brother. So we understood that. And then we start creating the programs around to make it even better. So multi-site business is about that. It's about retail, convenience stores. It's about quick service restaurants, about clinics, vets, and even lawyers. And I mean, if you have a lot of locations, you're the right customer for Brother. So we are, I cannot say that we are the leader of multi-site business, but nobody knows what multi-site is. So it's where we basically created here to represent that kind of business. But we are very good on that.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because I think there are differences between obviously the US and Europe. And it's interesting to hear how sort of well established you are in those multi-site businesses. And I think that leads quite nicely into something we touched on earlier, was the transition from A3 to A4. And, I think there's a number of reasons we're seeing that in our research, that companies, it depends on the sector and the organization size, but there is this transition from A3 to A4 for various reasons, from cost and performance and even sustainability, more so perhaps in Europe. So could you tell us a bit about what you've seen in the market, particularly coming from Ricoh, and where you think that shift is going?
As I mentioned, we cannot generalize, right? As you said, multi-site is great for A4, not that much for A3. That's why we're so good on that. But I mean, we know that all the customers that we serve, they are not multi-site, and we do great. Education, it's a great example, right? I mean, I would say Brother is very good on education too, and that's not multi-site. Typically, when I say education, I'm talking about SLAD, which is basically the government portion of when a government meets education, state and local education. We're very good on that. Typically, the school districts in the US, they buy a lot of printers. I mean, they rely a lot of process related to printer. Actually, we just did some research, just realized that printed materials help on the education process in the classroom. At first, I thought, well, they use the printers maybe for the back end, right, for scanning stuff and student records, stuff like that. But now, actually, the main use for printers, and especially color printers, are at the classroom. So that's a very important segment for us. In that segment, A4 plays an important role, as well A3. Right, both of them combined plays a very good role. So multi-site is obviously one go-to-market, one way to go to market, but there's different ways and different customers. So I would say A3 and A4 are a great combination for some of them, not all of them, but some of them. It's still a great combination. And again, that's why the dealers is our main channel, our priority here in the US, because they can play in both segments, A3 and A4. They can play on education. They can play on multi-site business if they want. One thing just to mention, some dealers here in the US, especially the mid-size dealers, they are regional. They are in a state, and let's say I'm in Florida right now, so they cover the entire state of Florida, but they don't go further from Georgia or maybe going north or west. So that's very normal here in the US. So some of those dealers, local dealers, regional dealers, if you will, they see on multi-site an opportunity to expand their boundaries to other regions in the US, because today they couldn't reach them. But with the easiness of a one-touch button, the connect to server button, and the swap and everything that Brother offers to them, it's a very good opportunity for them to go beyond the regional reach. So our strategy is really resonating to the trends we're seeing here in the US. And again, A3, we're not there to compete with them. We're there to complement. We learned that, and we are actually strengthening our partnerships with A3 brands. Obviously, not all of them. There are some of them that has A3 and A4 very strong. Obviously, those ones, they don't care about us. But the ones who need to complement their portfolio with a very interesting A4, very specific A4 machines, I mean, we are there, right? And that's part of the growth is coming. And this integration that I mentioned with Ricoh, with the same user experience and even programs, right? I mean, we offer programs together. It's been great. So I think that explains a little bit our growth, not only multi-site, but different segments and different go-to-market with and without A3 machines as well.
Yeah, and I think, what you said earlier about the number of products in your portfolio together with Ricoh, it's so expansive. So there's a product, I guess, for every type of business. And I'm just curious, actually, is that Ricoh partnership going to be rolled out in other regions? Are you aware of, it's obviously started in the US first, I think.
No, it's a global relationship. So basically, it's headquarters with headquarters, both for Japanese companies. So that makes our life easier. But I mean, now once they created a partnership, each region or each country is expanding that in their own terms and their own rules. So yes, I don't remember exactly which countries we have in Europe, for example, the partnership. But I mean, that's a local decision, and now they're expanding that. It's country by country, right? So the partnership itself was the basis of the partnership was created in Japan, but it depends on each country to define how they are going to approach. So basically, we here in the US, we talk to Ricoh USA, which basically our neighbor in New Jersey. So basically, it's a country by country relationship that needs to be built and expanded. So obviously other countries are seeing what we're doing here in the US, and probably we're going to see more and more countries in Europe and around the world to leverage this partnership that was created in Japan.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's been really interesting to hear about, what Brother USA is doing, and also touching on some of those trends we're seeing around hybrid work, the shift from A3 to A4, but then, the fact that Brother is vendor agnostic with this cloud platform tool from 3Manager. I think it really helps dealers manage that sort of multi-vendor environment. So I just wanted to really finish off with some predictions for 2026. I think it's obviously this time of year where we're sort of looking ahead to next year, and there's some key trends that we're seeing around security, sustainability, changes to NPS, and so on. But is there anything in particular that you think is really going to shape the industry in the next year?
Well, unfortunately, I cannot talk much about what is going to really shape the industry, which is AI, right? I mean, but let me just start with the ones you just mentioned. Yes, if you think about security, it's very important. In our case, we have what we call the 3 layers of security. It's on the device level, on the network level, and on the document level. So we have a very strong security problem. Otherwise, those customers, enterprise customers, wouldn't be working with us. So security is still there. Sustainability is another one. I understand that in Europe it's even stronger. We see the requirements we receive sometimes from Europe are stronger. The good news is that everything we develop for Europe eventually is going to resonate more in the US. It already is here because we're a global company. So whenever we launch, for example, the new A4 SMB color line, I mean, we redid all the packaging. We get off of styrofoam. We have only recyclable materials, and that is globally. So that portion is done in a global level, resonates a lot in Europe, and eventually it's going to resonate more in the US. But that's, as you said, it's been for a while. AI is really the new kid on the block, right? I mean, even though some part of AI concepts, I mean, are being there for a while, right? Workflows, right? OCR is something we've seen for how long we see OCR, like 20 years, I would say.
At least, yeah.
Just like, yes, and just like NPS has been around for 20 years at least, as far as I remember. So, I mean, some of the concepts that now people use the buzzword AI is been around. So you can scan a document and then you can convert that image into something that is actually data that can be understood by a workflow, stuff like that. So there will be more and more. I don't know exactly what's next, but I mean, I know that the industry is having a very careful look on AI, because AI is impacting everything, and it will impact the printing business. What I know is that print is not going away. I mean, it's funny, actually interesting that when we do some kind of researches, we see some segments where printing is actually growing. So those predictions that print is go away, I mean, it's not going to happen, right? I mean, we still have a place in this world. Obviously, there's some processes that you're seeing digital transformation impacting much more. But I would say there are a lot of processes that print still very important and will be. So that's basic. So again, I don't have crystal ball, but AI for sure is going to be an important one. And how it's going to impact our industry, we're going to see in the next years to come.
Yeah, so I completely agree. When we did our Future of Work 2030 study, which we released a couple of months ago, it was interesting because we look at all age groups from 18 to over 50, who are still in the multi-generational workplace. And the majority still believe print is still going to be important in the next 5 years. And also picking up on that point around education and the value of paper. Also, we're seeing the younger generation still having a preference for paper in terms of how they learn and retain information. I think it's the same for all of us. So, yeah, I don't think print's going anywhere. But like you say, the profile is changing. Perhaps there's less pages on more devices or vice versa. But I think it's still, quite an exciting time for the industry. So just to finish off, what's next for Brother in terms of the VPP program? I know you've got the VPP Plus. What's really next in 2026? Is it really a case of just generating the interest from the dealers and doing those deployments with 3Manager?
Yeah, so we just launched that in July. Now we're seeing we're checking the connection rate. So there's some dealers who are actually adding 1,000 machines to the platform. Some of them are adding interesting number, but for smaller customers, not to one or two or three customers. So we're seeing we're carefully watching to the adoption of VPP Plus. It's not a requirement. I mean, that's something that we don't impose. We never impose anything to the channel partner, but we say if you connect, I mean, you can have all of those great benefits from the platform, right? I mean, one question they typically ask is they say, well, we already have a platform, or we already have a data collect agent. I mean, why should we have VPP Plus? And the first thing we say, well, first, we don't have DCA. We don't have the agent. I mean, we're on the cloud. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you don't need, obviously, that software is very important for your business, right? It's how you monetize and everything else. So you don't need to use our monitoring and managing capacity in the beginning, right? I mean, and you can slowly see what the capacities you have, and if you decide in some point in time you'd like to migrate to Tree Manager, that's great. I mean, we're not forcing anyone to do that. We just want to connect the machines because that's part of our MPS strategy, right? It's contractual and connected. We want those machines to be connected so we can understand the print volumes. We can adapt our products, our offer. We can offer auto fulfillment, which was a requirement from some of the smaller and mid-sized dealers. So there's a lot of things we can do. And in the future, I'm pretty sure once we see more data, IoT data coming from the platform, we can actually provide some advice to those channel partners and say, you're doing this way, why don't you do that way? You see that machine, why don't you change by this one? We do that today in the assessments when we make this kind of a photo of their current fleet. We say, hey, here's the age of your fleet, right? I mean, you have at least 80% of your devices older than 10 years. That's bad for security, right? That's bad for IT. You see those A3 machines, some of them are performing well, but so you see that those ones you're using less than 5%. So we kind of make those assessments and we share with the channel partner. And then together we decide, hey, what's the strategy? Do you want to replace that A3 machine? Yes or no? If you want to replace, can you consider, brother? Let's talk, right? I mean, so that's basically what we do today, but we do that as a pre-sales work. And the idea in the future with the platform is that we can not only do that before, but we can continue monitoring that and say, hey, that's the customer we agreed 3 years ago and see how he's doing. And now let's see what we promise is really happening or not, and then take corrections from there. So I would say the next step is really to increase the adoption, right? On every SaaS model, software as a service, the first thing you need to have is adoption, right? We need to connect as many machines as we can so we can see the data, we can actually be more proactive in the future. But then we want our channel partners in this case, and sometimes the end customer, to use the platform. Because if you don't use, guess what? Once you need to renew that in a typical SaaS model, I mean, if you don't have that positive experience, you're not going to do that. So it's about retention and expansion in the future. But right now we are in the very first phase. We want people to understand what VPP Plus is. There is a lot of questions. Oh, but I don't want auto fulfillment. Oh, I'm not saying you need it. I'm saying I can provide if you need it, right? You can still, your customer can still call you or go to a platform and order toners. If that's what you want, that's great. But if that same customer, especially if it's a multi-site business, want auto fulfillment, yes, we can do that. So we're still having those conversations with our channel partners for them to understand what the platform is capable of. It's never about moving from what you have to this one. It's about complementing what they have. That's basically what VPP Plus is right now, and we expect it to be even furthermore in the next year.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges with this is really dealer education, and we see this in Europe as well. And I think it sounds like Brother has created a really good platform to help educate its dealer community on the potential benefits to help them future-proof their own businesses as well as their customers, and that, the proactive consumables replenishment and being more data-driven. So, like you say, if it's contractual and connected, then you have the data and you can use that data to build new MPS contracts as they come up for renewal. So we've always said at Quocirca that data is
but Louella, it's always to support them, to support their business model. That's why VPP Plus is about, is to support their business model. And one important thing I learned, remember last time we talked about was responsible for Latin America, was the VP of marketing for Latin America. But now in the US for 3 years, what I have learned here is not every single dealer is the same. Each one of them, they are different in size, they're different in the alliances they have, even the model. So when you say MPS, I mean, you need to be careful because some of them are talking about leasing, they're talking about, others are talking about flat fee, right? Subscription models. Others are talking about there is no replenishment at all. I mean, is this the old way? So depending to the dealer or the channel partner you're talking with, everything is going to be different. So we need to be very careful how we approach that community because each one of them is different. They have different needs, but the message is we always there to support their business model, not to change, not to impose ours. Is really to support them the best way as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So supporting the channel partners. And I think it's really great that you're bringing such kind of innovation to MPS because like we said, it's been around for 20, 30 years and it's very traditional. So it's great to hear how Brother is really changing some of the approaches in the US. So I just wanted to end with thanking you very much, Fernando, for joining me today. It's been really great to hear more about VPP and VPP Plus. And I look forward to following developments over the next year and to see how it gets increased adoption amongst the US dealers. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. And let's not wait 3 years more to connect again. So thank you so much.
So thank you for joining today's episode of In the Spotlight with Quocirca. For more information, please visit quocirca.com and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.